knowing what you need to post and when, or what you need to create and when, you're so much more likely to stick with it than if you just share content when you feel like it, or when you have time, or when you feel inspired. Because unless it's a priority, you're probably not going to do that. And you're not going to feel consistently inspired. You're not going to consistently have time. You're not going to consistently feel like doing it. So then the only way to be consistent with it is to make it a priority. Hey, welcome back to Imperfect Action. This is episode 711. Today, I'm sharing 5 tools that have helped me and my team as well now to be a bit more consistent with content and with marketing. Because honestly, I can't say this enough. Consistency is one of the biggest factors in growing your audience, in nurturing them, in growing your business. And if you can't be consistent, then you're really going to struggle with all 3 of those. But the good news is that there are a lot of tools out there that you can implement to make the whole process a lot smoother, regardless of whether you are podcasting or whether you're on YouTube or whatever kind of content you are creating. There are tools that you can apply and systems you can apply to make it a lot smoother. Now, when I talk about consistency, this is going to vary from person to person. For me, consistency is 3 podcast episodes every single week. I have done that for 5.5 years, and there have only been a handful of weeks where I haven't put out all 3 podcast episodes. But for you, that consistency might be one piece of longer form content, whether that's a blog post or a YouTube video or even a long email to your list. Whatever you can stick to consistently is the goal. It's not about doing all of the things. It's not about quantity. It's about showing up over and over and over again. So this episode, I'm sharing a couple of the tools that have been game changers for me in being consistent with my own content and with my own marketing. Number 1, and this one is the most boring one on the list, the Notes app on my phone. I know, just the plain old Notes app. And in the Notes app, I have a folder called Content Ideas. I am constantly adding to this content ideas folder from anything in my life that gives me a little spark of inspiration, or even just like the little stem of an idea where I'm like, ooh, I don't know what this is going to be, but there could potentially be a little idea here. I write it down. I make a note of it, because then when I go back and look at it months from now, I might be able to turn that little stem of an idea into a big full podcast episode or a post for Instagram or wherever. So, for example, I recently was in Vanuatu, which is a beautiful island in French Polynesia, surprisingly not that far from where I live in Brisbane. And Air Vanuatu has one jet plane, one international plane that they fly between Sydney and Vanuatu, Melbourne and Vanuatu, Brisbane and Vanuatu, and Auckland and Vanuatu. So one plane is servicing all 4 of those destinations. And while I was over there, that one plane broke down. They had to ground it, and they were waiting for a new part for its engine. Now, that for me was a content idea, even though it's not even related remotely to what I do or what I talk about. That was a content idea because I could instantly relate that relying on that one plane to relying on one income stream in your business. It's really risky. If that one income stream, for whatever reason, stops working, then you don't really have a business anymore. So notice how I took something that happened in my everyday life and used that to come up with an analogy for a piece of content. And another one, like a friend and I went to speed dating once, and there we met this guy who just talked about himself nonstop. And that gave me the content idea of, well, you can't just talk at your clients nonstop. You can't just talk at your audience and expect them to be interested in your business. You need to have a conversation with them. You need to listen to their pain points. You need to listen to what they want. That was a piece of content that came from a real life situation. So then whenever my ideas, my inspiration runs a little bit dry, I can just hop back into the Notes app on my phone, and I can see if there's anything in there that I can use or anything that I can reuse. Sometimes, I might have an idea 2 years ago, and then 2 years later, I can use it again. Because I don't always have endless ideas popping up all of the time, but I still need to be consistent with this episode, so I need to be consistent with those ideas. Okay, tool number 2 is ClickUp. ClickUp is a project management tool, and in my business, it's like the command center for all of our content. right? All of the content that is going out, we have it mapped out in a calendar. We use it as a team so everyone knows what they need to be working on, when they need to be working on, what content is getting published on what day, and everything is just in that one place. We don't have millions of spreadsheets for content calendars. We don't have all of these different things floating around. We just have it in one place. And even if it is just you in your team right now, starting to use ClickUp or some kind of similar project management tool means that you can start to build out that content calendar. It means that you can fill that content calendar with your pieces of content, your planned content. And it means you can fill each piece of planned content with the processes and the tasks required to make that piece of content happen. And then when you're ready, you can start to easily delegate parts of that process to others because now you've documented it within that task. And now you can just add new people to your ClickUp workspace as you hire them, and you can delegate to them without having to do a huge amount of training because it's already documented there. Now, if you have an actual calendar as well in ClickUp, which you can, knowing what you need to post and when, or what you need to create and when, you're so much more likely to stick with it than if you just share content when you feel like it, or when you have time, or when you feel inspired. Because unless it's a priority, you're probably not going to do that. And you're not going to feel consistently inspired. You're not going to consistently have time. You're not going to consistently feel like doing it. So then the only way to be consistent with it is to make it a priority. Tell yourself it is a priority for me that my content is consistent, and stick to that. So if you want to try out ClickUp, head to stephtaylor.co/ClickUp. I've popped a link to it in the show notes as well. Number 3, Sunsama. So this one is also a task management tool. So it's different to ClickUp. ClickUp's more of like the big picture command center for the business. Sunsama is my own personal task management tool that I use to plan out my day. I use it to plan out my week. And because, time management is essential in staying consistent with your content, I need to make sure that I'm batching or blocking out time in my calendar where I can outline 2 or 3 episodes at once, record 2 or 3 episodes at once. Now, Sunsama integrates with ClickUp. It also integrates with Google Calendar, which is what I love about it. I use it to map out my tasks for the day in my calendar so that I know exactly what I need to be working on at any given point in the day, but also so that I don't overload my to-do list each day because I'm blocking the tasks in my calendar and I have to estimate how long each task is going to take me. So I then can't put, 10 hours worth of work into a 5-hour day. I have to be a little bit more realistic about how much I'm putting on my to-do list. And then each week when I plan out my week, I can set my objectives for the week. So I might have something like outline and record podcast episodes to the end of next week. So then I know that's a priority. I need to be working towards that during the week. I can align my tasks with those objectives and I know what I need to be focusing on at any given point. I have used all of the planners, all of the to-do list apps, all of the different things. This is the only one that I've stuck with consistently for nearly a year now. So it really works. It's really simple. It's easy to use and it's friendly for other types of brains like mine, which does not like structure, does not like the systems, does not like the plan, right? So you can grab a 30-day free trial for that one at stephtaylor.co/sunsama, SUNSAMA. I'll pop a link for that one in the show notes as well. Number 4, Descript, or Descript if you want to call it that. Descript is a piece of recording software for audio, for video content, and I love it because it transcribes as you speak. So you can edit it really easily, like as if you were editing a Google Doc. You can edit it as if it was text. And they have some pretty great AI features that they're adding now, like overdub, where there's an AI version of my voice. So if I mess up a word and my team needs to go and edit the word so that it's correct, I don't need to re-record that word or that sentence. They can just type it and it automatically fills in my voice, which is pretty cool. It saves a bit of time. There's also a feature called Studio Sound where they use like an AI tool to make your audio sound like it's been recorded in a professional studio. That is awesome as well. It's where I record these podcast episodes. It's where my team edits them. It's where my team turns them into YouTube videos now, and where we extract snippets for short form video for Reels and TikTok and YouTube Shorts. It's a lot. I know we do a lot with it. I've been doing this show for 5.5 years now. If you are just starting out, I would usually suggest that you start out with audio only And then once you've got the process for audio sorted, you're comfortable with that, you're being consistent with that, then add video, right? Because for me, the biggest barrier now with having video is, my hair has to look nice, right? I can't just hit record in my pajamas with my hair in a messy bun because now the camera is on as well. And just a reminder, you don't need to be showing up on all of the platforms. Choose what you can for being consistent. I have a team who now help me with all of the production. Like when I first started podcasting, it was just me. But now that my team are on board and we use Descript, it's made the whole process just so much more streamlined than it was in the past when I was recording and editing in GarageBand on my computer. So if you want to get a free trial of Descript, head on over to stephtaylor.co/Descript, DESCRIPT. We'll put a link to that one in the show notes as well. And then number 5, the fifth and final one, is my webcam, which is called the Lumina 4K webcam. Now, I have started recording video versions of this show and sharing them to YouTube, as I know that that is where a lot of people consume their podcast content. And I'm really serious now about taking this podcast to that next level of growth. Like we've had awesome growth over the last 5.5 years, audio only, but now it's how can we take it to that next level? But I didn't really want to muck around, especially now at the start. I didn't want to muck around with a full studio setup, fancy camera, all of that. It just adds so many layers of complication into something where I really just want it to be simple. So for now, I'm using the Lumina webcam, which can record in 4K quality. And I like it. I'm really impressed with it. I use it for all my Zoom calls and all of that as well now. And the only thing that's really had to change when I'm recording podcast episodes now to turn them into YouTube content is I just switch the webcam on when I'm recording an episode. And then I get video for each one as well as audio. And we use that video for YouTube. We use it for shorts. We use it for reels. We use it for TikTok. The only extra step involved is making sure that my hair looks nice. So I'll pop a link to that one as well, stephtaylor.co/Lumina, LUMINA, and there'll be a link for that in the show notes too. So there you have it. 5 really simple tools. The Notes app on my phone, ClickUp, Sunsama, Descript, and the Lumina webcam. All 5 of these play a really huge, important role in how consistent I've been with my content, not just recently, but over the last couple of years. That is it for today's episode. If you haven't already left a rating and a review, please take 30 seconds to do so in Apple Podcasts. I read every single one of them. I've been seeing so many new ones coming through lately, and it really means a lot to me and to my team because a lot of work goes into producing this show. And if you're not already following the show, hit subscribe on YouTube, hit follow in Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And it just means you'll get each new episode straight to your podcast app every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Thanks so much for listening. Catch you next time.